sitting and reflecting really around how our industry has changed so much, and how we as humans have changed in the way that we work. Here I am sitting recording in a small B&B on my way to do business in Cape Town. I think this whole notion of as the world changes, industries are starting to change. And I think our advertising industry has been impacted by this tremendously. I think one of the biggest trends I've noticed is the whole aspect of going in-house. I think the notion and the movement of going in-house, brands have been doing for quite some time. And I'd probably like to talk a little bit about that because, I think there's very few brands that have possibly done this well. And this is probably no offense to the CMOs out there, but generally I think what's happened is that we've had people that have never built agencies trying to build agencies in-house. And I'd probably like to just share some of my experience around that an agency is a unique thing. I think if we look in the world, there are lots of agencies, but why are some agencies better than others? And I think the fundamental core to an agency really is its people. I mean, it's a people business. It's people that produce the ideas. It's people that think of the type of technology that should be used. And it's people that, interact and play with data to try and find an insight. So it's very much a people-based business. And then there's also a lot of processes behind how a successful agency should run. So I think this notion, this trend of brands going in-house with agencies, I think is the right thing. I think it's probably something that needs to be improved, as the brands need to start working with people that have actually built agencies, and not just any agency, world-class leading agencies. And I think that's probably one of the biggest shifts that we're seeing right now. And I think a lot of agencies themselves, the larger, more traditional-based established agencies, are quite threatened by this because their pricing models are very much worked off, a lot of income that comes from client services. And I think where the world is moving into is this whole decoupled method where, clients are expecting productional work to come out of these agencies. So actually creating stuff, setting up green rooms, producing video on the fly that's cost effective, virtual reality, AR, making content, telling stories. So, I think, clients want to pay for stuff. And I think that, traditional agencies models are based on, paying for client services and often outsourcing production. So just some tips if you are planning to build an in-house agency as a CMO. First thing, don't allow the organization to absorb the agency so that it controls it too much. I think it's important that the agency has its own name, whether it's the name of the organization that's building it for you or a name that you collectively construct or you come up with. So give it an identity, allow it to be agile, allow it to be free, and don't allow it to be absorbed into the environment of that organization, because what you want the agency to be is to feel free and feel creative. I think that's very, very important. You can, look online. There's been tons of case studies around this, autonomous feeling that the agency requires. Some functional stuff that it needs. I would say the first thing would be, make sure that you're actually really working with data. And by data, I'm not just talking about analytical data. We're talking about trends and insights and understanding what are your consumers thinking and doing. And I think with Black Lives Movement, we've seen, how often brands' tonality, isn't right for a day and age that we live in. And it's time that brands start actually understanding how data works and actually starts listening to it. So I'd say you need to construct an effective data team. The second thing would be, you need to get the right creative construct. Often I'm told that, a creative team isn't working out or a creative director isn't effective. It's often the case that it's the wrong creative director for the wrong organization. So I think it's imperative that, you get the right creative construct. And then lastly, I would say, which is hugely important, is what type of technology are you going to bring in-house to help distribute your messaging? So is it going to be Google Marketing Platform? Is it going to be HubSpot, some type of automation software? Try and find something that, firstly, the type of people you're going to bring in understand how to use, and that, you're using it effectively. Because if technology isn't used effectively, it's not going to achieve anything for you except a large bill every month. So that's really it from me, guys. I think this whole movement of going in-house is incredibly exciting. I think CMOs have a great journey ahead of them of building these internal agencies. And yeah, it's a disruptive movement that's kind of circulating across the world. And it's exciting. I think it's exciting that brands are starting to produce their own agencies. And how exciting will it be when brands' internal agencies start actually competing with outside agencies for awards? I think that's something that's coming. Yeah, so that's it from me, guys. I'm Shaune. We'll chat soon. Cheers.